Hello and welcome. After a little bit of a break because our lives have been so busy recently, we are back ahead of Hate Week. We are joined this week by a good friend of the show, Greg, who's going to be joining us and talking of some talking points from a quiet week in Falcons country. Um, but we've got a lot to get into tonight, a lot to discuss ahead of the game in New Orleans this week. So I think let's address the elephant in the room. We have been waiting. I've been waiting. I have been waiting. Greg's obviously been waiting. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have been waiting as well. To the news that Desmond Ridder is now the starting quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons. So, how we feeling, gents?
Go on, Greg. You take it first.
Boys, I spent my 30th birthday in Carolina Stadium watching us get our asses kicked the whole night long. The barrel throw happened that night. I lost my voice screaming to get this man into the lineup. So I'm thrilled. Thank God I was able to stay off Twitter that night because it was just horrendous. So yeah, I'm really stoked. I was honestly on this guy's bandwagon pre-draft. I was praying we would take him. And so far, I'm really thrilled with how he's handled himself for the past couple of weeks from what we've been able to see anyway. He had a lot of great college tape. That's pretty much what I've been spending my week on, is just watching his college tape. And yeah, I think he's going to be, I think he's going to be something special for us. So I'm pretty thrilled.
Danny?
Pretty much the same, mate. I'm sure I'm the same as you, Mark, in terms of we've been waiting for this moment for 12 weeks, probably. Not far off, something like that. So I think it's about time. Realistically, probably too late, but in the neutral point of view, it's probably the right time, as in Smith gave Mariota enough chances until it was probably difficult for us to compete anymore. I'm not saying that we can't do it, because our division is fucking trash, to say the least. So it is still technically possible, but I think he's give it to a time where he thought, right, I'll leave it with a vet as long as I physically can. But there's only so long you can keep someone on board when they just make error after error. And it's not all bad. I'll admit that he's not all bad. And we've all said before, he's made plays that we wouldn't have expected last year because he's a mobile quarterback. But he's also lost us, not solely lost us, but had 5-6 moments that have ended in the game being a loss when a steady quarterback would have probably got you half of those at least. For me.
Yeah, and I think that's totally fair, right? And listen, I've obviously been very vocal on the Ridder issue. I kind of wasn't in on Mariota after a couple of games. It got worse and worse, and I don't know. I'm kind of like, I understand, like a little bit like yourself, right? We understand, we get it that they wanted to roll with the vet. They didn't want to throw Desmond in straight away. Sensible, especially with the roster that we've got, which is, let's face it, patchwork kind of at best at the moment. And I will happily take another 4 losses if we start to see some development and some positive play from a young rookie quarterback who's got the potential to go on and be the face of the franchise, right? And let's face it, we don't, like, I don't think any of us are pinning our hopes on him being the face of the franchise, purely because came out of nowhere in college. Like, I think his record was something like 44-6 in college, which, I mean, isn't to be sniffed at. He galvanized that Cincinnati football program, and his work. But we've seen college QBs be really good, and then not necessarily make it in the NFL. Ironically, a man called fucking Marcus Mariota, right? So, like, And listen, I mean, a lot of these people who are still defending this guy, and I mean, there are rumors flying around that this guy is literally just gone. Oh well, fuck you guys, I'm gone. Now I don't know if those reports are true, right? But I kind of don't feel like they are, if I'm honest, because like everything that we were hearing was he was a real leader in the locker room, and to me, if he's fucked off because he's lost his space, well, that's not a fucking leader in the locker room. All right, so I'm still going to reserve judgment. I'm not going to go all in on the guy because I don't know the facts. But everything that came out of Ritter's sort of mini press conferences sort of thing today that I've been seeing on Twitter, and it has filled my heart with joy.
Yeah.
So and fucking hands in the air, I never watched one of Mariota's press conferences because it just didn't really fucking excite me. But I think we've got a real opportunity to see what I mean. It feels so alien, doesn't it? A young quarterback. It feels so alien. But we get a chance to see what he has. I want to chuck this question at Greg. Greg, I know we've only got you for about half an hour or so, but I kind of want to chuck this question at you. You're in the States. Obviously, we don't get a lot of college football over here, so like Liam and I watch a bit of film on the lead up to the draft and stuff like that. I can't say that we follow it closely because we can't over here really. But what was the kind of because Cincinnati Bearcats aren't necessarily known for being, one of the big time college franchises. So how was that over in the States?
Just as far as like how was Cincinnati's like rise last year comparatively?
Yeah,
it was different. I think because, well, it's not like I'm in the heart of college football country. We're in basketball country, unfortunately. But there always seems to be those one or two teams that kind of poke out for a couple of years, right? Seeing them make the college football playoffs was the big, like, oh, this guy might do something. But even then, I remember saying out loud, Alabama gets a free pass to the championship this year. And it's how it felt. Since he played
Liam would love to hear you saying that.
Well, it was frustrating for a lot of us because if you're not an Alabama fan, you hate Alabama, right? It's kind of like anything else. But I remember actively talking to my friends and saying, wow, Alabama gets a free pass. And they basically did. Cincinnati did not really show up in that game. But if we base everything how we feel off of one game, then A.J. Terrell is a terrible player as well.
Of course.
So what I would like to – I think what you need to focus on with him is that he took a team that was basically nothing and got them to top 4 in the nation. And the kid is a winner. You can talk about how he's got accuracy issues or whatever, but you hear him in the press conference, you read everything they're saying about him in the locker room. I think he's got the stuff to lead this team, just like he led Cincy. And like I said, he didn't really have a lot of expectations in Cincy, and I don't think they have a lot of expectations now. So
side note, Mariota has accuracy issues, so I'm not really concerned that we're not changing to like a completely different style, are we?
No,
I think it's fair to say
issues if he overthrows Kyle Pitts by 17 yards every single fucking throw.
That's on Pitts not being 17 yards further ahead every single throw, if you ask me.
It's fair to say, right, that and you're right, but I wonder whether Mariota is more of an ability issue than an accuracy issue. A QB being able to throw accurately is one thing, but a QB being able to throw is completely different because Mariota could not do that, not consistently. And we looked at the stats, right? Every time he threw more than 13 times in a game, we lost.
Mm-hmm.
And, and I think the 49ers result kind of flattered us, if I'm honest. And I know 49ers are beat up and all that sort of stuff. But I think, unfortunately, that was almost the turning point to give more confidence to Smith on Mariota. That's how it felt. And how well the run game masked the ineptitudes of Marcus as a QB. So I think we've genuinely got an opportunity right now. And listen, if the reports are true and Marcus has quit on the team, well, that's cool. We don't have to pay a second year. More cap space, and what a wonderful world we're in. We're acquiring cap space by the fucking week, and we're still hopeful about what's coming. So, I don't know. I think it bodes well for us either way, because at least we get to see another string to another bow. And I think we got used to Marcus's limitations quite early on. So I never say I get used to it. I don't get used to it, but it was. But then again, like you said, Danny, for fairness, it was nice to see a mobile QB able to evade pressure and get out the pocket, and even that was very refreshing to see as an Atlanta fan.
Yeah. Yes, he did evade sacks quite well, and I didn't want my tweet from 2 weeks ago that set it all off. That's fine. That wasn't me saying he's a good quarterback. That wasn't me saying I want him starting either. But I think what I was trying to get out, and having read what I've read in the past couple of weeks, and I think I was right. They were waiting on Ritter to understand everything else that goes into being a quarterback, more than just throwing the ball.
It's a lot.
They're waiting for him to understand what this what this coverage is, what this blocking scheme is, how to make these flips. And, you look at Marcus, right? And yeah, he would evade a sack, but then he'd run out of the pocket and he'd overthrow Pitts by 6 feet in the air. And is it great? Yeah, we saw less sacks, but it just kind of extended plays to look awful at the end of the day.
Yeah, you're right.
When everyone keyed down on Patterson and Algier, we looked like shit, flat out. If they tried to take away the run game, we turned into nothing because our quarterback couldn't throw more than 20 yards, period.
And they knew that.
So the really exciting thing going into this week is we don't have any film on Desmond. The Saints don't have any film on Desmond either. So this is a whole new game for them to try to prep for. Plus, they're trash, so that's fine too. But
yeah. But we said that last year when you had a 5th string quarterback, so maybe we should wait a little bit.
Welcome back, Liam.
Hello.
Liam, I said something nice about Alabama while you
Can we go back through it?
No.
It was nice.
Would you like to take a guess on what we've been talking about, Liam?
Go for it. I reckon defense.
It's obviously Elijah Wilkinson.
Running game.
It's only Elijah Wilkinson. That's all we talk about.
It's the only thing worth talking about.
So I just want to leave Nora again.
Take a shot.
Wow. It's only been 30 seconds.
I mean, I'm surprised. To be fair, I'm surprised Kevin hasn't abused me because he knows which college team I support as well. So, this kind of leads me quite nicely on my next point. Is all of the time I've been screaming for Ritter, and I've been screaming for it for a long time, and a lot of motherfuckers have been like, "Mark, shut up! You're an idiot. You don't fucking know anything. Might as well just fucking roll Mario." And one of the things I kept repeatedly getting told is he's going to die behind this O-line. He's going to this O-line. He's going to die. He's going to die. Like the guy's like fucking 100 pounds, right? It's fucking like the guy's never played football before. Like he's never been sacked before.
By the way, but that's a separate note. We can talk about that.
So PFF has us rated as the 6th best offensive line in the league. Now, I know that's probably, and Greg, you rightly said it before we came on air, probably heavily because of the run game, right? Which is a great point, right? But I mean, fuck me, boys, we were here last year right? We remember what really bad fucking O-line play looks like.
We were 60 sacks deep.
Exactly. So, and again, to your previous point, Elijah Wilkins is back this week as well. So, my point is, you've got a young QB behind the sixth best O-line in the league. I can almost see the smirk on Liam's face because I know he's about to tell me I'm incorrect. But how are we feeling about how safe Desmond is this weekend against those from down the road? Liam, I'll start with you, seeing as you've just joined.
Yeah, I mean, I think like I said, I don't really understand the point of that, because we've got obviously Mariota's mobile, but so's Ridder. Yes, Ridder might try and stay in the pocket a little bit more. He might take a few more sacks, but what Mariota's one thing he was known for, we'll say it was his sole issue, but one thing he was known for was he does get injured. And he's had, he hasn't completed a full season for anybody in terms of, playing every game. He does pick up injuries. He hasn't picked up an injury playing for us. So if he isn't getting injured, if somebody who's supposedly injury prone, then why would Ridder get killed or injured?
Exactly.
Surely, if somebody was like just an absolute beast back there who was taking sacks and never got injured, and fine. But Mariota's does get injured a lot. That's just one thing he has done in the past, but he hasn't been injured once this season, as far as I can remember. So I don't.
Apart from
he was injured the whole time, apparently.
Well, that's one of his excuses, I guess. But I think I don't see that being an issue. It's not like Ridder's a pocket passer. Like that's not the type of quarterback he is. So he can get out of the pocket and pass, and he can move around. He does tend to be a little bit maybe more better in the passing game than Mariota is. But in terms of his actual agility and speed, he's almost a mimic of Mariota. I mean, he played in his college game, he ran the ball a lot, not quite the same. He wasn't making the same distances, I should say, as Mariota was in college. But we know what obviously Mariota was like in college as a runner. He was like electric, wasn't he? So that's obvious reasons for that. But I think he's going to be fine as long as he doesn't do anything silly. He could make a silly sort of error and not cover up and take the wrong type of hit, which obviously could cause the injury. But that can happen to anybody at any time. So
anybody.
It's not like he's susceptible to it more than anybody else. So I can't really see that being an issue at all. Like our O-line's been good, and I'm not saying we're a great O-line, but it's certainly not been bad by any stretch compared to some. So
Kev makes a great point on the comments as well. In I know it wasn't, we didn't watch him for a full game, but he did have a good game against the Lions preseason, and I think probably a lot of us are kind of clinging to the highlights of that game, but it showed promise from the start. I think if he'd been shit in preseason and not done anything in preseason, then maybe a lot of us wouldn't be as excited as we are. But I think it's wild to not have a genuine level of excitement about what this young man can bring. And how fucking old does he look? Like, I'm sorry, but that I mean, I look rough for 35, right? But I mean, the dude is like 23, 24 years old, and he looks like he should have he should have a fucking a saloon car, and he should have maybe buy stocks or something shit that adults do. It's crazy.
He's definitely had a few divorces and a few kids, and and
he is still paying money to all of them baby mamas as well. That's how stressed he looks. So I mean, he's about heading to New Orleans for your first game. I mean, I'd feel pretty stressed as well.
Yeah,
right?
his hairline is he could be on the show.
He had kids too early, man.
I didn't make the jokes.
So I have a question about the 6th ranked offensive line, right? Put Matt Ryan back in the pocket. Are we still 6th?
No.
Right. And I think that's the fear. I think Marcus's ability to get out of the pocket makes it a little better, and that helps the run game be better. It's all a part of the same situation, right? But there's no arguing. Chris Lindstrom is a legitimate star. I mean, genuinely. And Caleb McGarry finally kind of looks like an okay offensive lineman for the first time.
Greg, is that because we declined that 5th-year option, though?
Pissed him off a little bit, I hope.
I mean, fucking hell. I mean, look at how much the fucking Raiders are going to have to pay Josh Jacobs right now for fucking declining that 5th-year option. Don't get me wrong, right? You take the abuse he's taken for the past fucking 3-4 years, and you get your fucking 5th-year option declined. I'd be fucking pissed as well.
Yeah.
But also, and I think let's have it straight as well. He's been better. I don't think he's been amazing, but he's certainly been better. He's not going to get star money, whereas I think fucking Lindstrom should be fucking getting star money. But, if he wants to fucking stay, then, absolutely. And good. Because do you know what it is? It's things like that. And it just makes me think. That's Arthur Smith. If the whole BS with the offensive line, little things like that, the aggression that we are seeing out of that offensive line is ridiculous compared to what we've been used to.
Well, we've also been a pass blocking team for the last decade. I mean, outside of the couple of Shanahan years, it was a lot of just pass block. It's really easy to tee off on a quarterback when that's all you do. And it's really easy to tee off when you have a quarterback that runs a 7.2 40. No offense to Matt. Yeah. I'm sure he's a little faster than that, but so it is very different. Also, Smith's just smart. He runs a lot of pre-snap motion that keeps people on their heels all the time. So there's a lot of good to it, but I guess the O-line has certainly improved from last year. I'm just happy that Desmond can also move, because if Marcus couldn't move, his ass would have been on the turf a lot this season.
Who else got, apart from me, and I'm happy for it to be just me, but who else got an absolutely massive stonking erection at watching that fucking touchdown from Ridder in Cincy, where he ran 95 fucking yards for the touchdown? The dude can move. And I think Liam's right. He probably does sit in the pocket maybe he's a bit too long, and he probably will get hit a little bit more than Marcus, but he will stretch the field a million times more than Marcus.
But they won't be able to blitz like they have been, and that's the difference. No. They can't send those extra guys because Dez can throw over the top, whereas Marcus would just hold the ball and roll on the ground, throw the ball blindly over his shoulder, fucker.
Still we're also saying this like it's not normal for a rookie quarterback to get sacked and make mistakes, and I don't know what there's some weird I don't even know what it is around Ridder coming in that's there's never been a rookie quarterback in the history of NFL that's actually replaced better quarterbacks than Mariota as well, but we're treating it or not us specifically, but people are treating it like it's some ridiculously insane decision or really difficult to make. It's not.
I said for the last month or so that my expectations are not that high, in a sense that obviously he's a rookie. He's coming in with 4 games to go. He wasn't even he was a 3rd round pick on top of that, so he wasn't exactly a guy that everybody was high on. And I don't have massive expectations of him, and that's not really the reason why I wanted him to come in. It's not because I think he's going to be amazing. He could be, but I'm not saying he's going to be amazing. But the reason why we should have brought him in, and hopefully what we have, is that we've now seen what Mariota can do. We've seen it all now, and we know he isn't that good.
Can't do.
Yeah, it isn't very good. Like, we know what we've got with him. He's not completely awful all the time, but he's like that, he's done his bit. We're not a very good team. I know why there's obviously the chance of the playoffs and everything, but the reason why there's a chance of the playoffs is not because we're amazing. Is obviously the division's just woeful. But so it's kind of like, what's the point in not seeing what Ridder's got? Like,
exactly.
Even if he comes out and he isn't that good, but at least we know what we've got. Like, there's just no point of not finding out. We know what we've got with Mariota. It isn't very good. We might as well find out what Ridder can do.
But there's
like absolute worst case scenario, right? We've got a young backup quarterback for the past couple of years.
Yeah, we just might as well roll the dice, see if he's any good. If he's not, he's not. If he is, he is.
I think
what's the point of sticking with Mariota when we know he's not very good?
That has been my fear this entire time coming in, is that a lot of the fan base is calling for, let's see what he's got, and then we can draft if we need to. It's like, dude, you're giving this kid a four-game audition without Kyle Pitts, without, which honestly, you say one player down isn't that big of a deal. No, it's Kyle fucking Pitts. Like, that guy is going to be a safety blanket for him for years to come. So I think we need to be really careful when we say we need to see what we've got in him. We can't say we need 300 yards a game, or we need 3 touchdown passes, or we need a win. I've
still put him in my fantasy team though, Greg.
I wanted to punch Smith when he said that. Are you fucking? What do you mean we don't care? You drafted him 4th overall. You need to throw him the ball. It's not that hard.
No, I'm saying I picked Ridder up this week.
Oh, I did too. I did too. But no, I thought you were talking about Smith, and that we don't care about your fantasy team. We're going to throw him out if it makes sense. Please throw to him. You drafted him high enough. But no, I mean, I think it really just needs to come down to when we say we need to see what he's got, it needs to be something in the realm of, he throws a pick. Cool. How does he come back out? Does he fold again, or does he show up and do something? He scores a touchdown. What's the next drive look like? And if he beats the Saints in year 1, he's a fucking legend, and I buy his jersey.
Greg, don't tease me like that.
I mean, I think it's more of a in terms of see what he's got, see what we have got to work with.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the off season, and what areas we can improve on, areas he's good at. That get used to the team, get some game experience. That's the sort of thing. What this is kind of about.
You named him the start.
If he's at Nathan Peterman,
and that wasn't even me saying like what you said was wrong, Liam. It's more about the fact that when this kid throws his first pick, it's going to be trade the farm for Bryce Young, trade the farm for CJ Stroud. And it's like, no, you don't need to. Honestly, I'm still slightly curious if Font's going to take a run at Lamar this offseason. We'll see.
The first rounders who have had awful, early game, and then come on to do great things. Like, there's guys who have been picked way, way, way up the draft and have had completely shaky starts because
Trevor Lawrence just now looks like a quarterback.
Exactly, yeah, and he's the greatest. Obviously, he's the greatest college quarterback that's ever existed. Period, supposedly. So, if he's struggling and hoping just getting to grips with it, then we can't give somebody who picks in the 3rd round who played for Cincinnati 4 games in a mediocre team.
So we just had a couple of comments I just want to read out. So Kev's
irrelevant.
Who's sticking with us this evening. We've only lost 2 games by more than 1 score, I think. Poor executions at the wrong time kill us. You've touched on Ridder being more confident and being able to drive a team. That in itself could be key. I mean, I think we've touched on that. And I think it's fair to say, we've stayed competitive with a quarterback that can't throw. So let's see what we can. Let's see how competitive we can be with a QB that can throw. And we've also had a comment from the guys over at Atlanta Falcons Nation. Mad Mike, thank you very much for dropping in. Appreciate it. And hope you and Maggie are well also. Cool.
One thing, a question really for you guys. This is what I think is going to happen, but I'll see what you guys think. Is do we think we're just going to basically keep this incredibly simple for him and just give him easy throws or are we going to give him something creative, or are we just going to give him play action, short throws to get his confidence in a place, or are we just going to go for it essentially and try, or maybe even just recreate, what Mariota was doing in terms of the playbook? But
well, I mean, we've seen Mariota try to throw, like, and I mean, and some of them were deep balls. Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's there in the playbook. I mean, like you're not telling me that we've got these weapons and we're not going to utilize them. And from the videos that I've seen in the press today, it's all him training with Drake London. So I cannot imagine us playing that short game. And I don't know if anyone disagrees, but Arthur Smith takes games against the Saints as personally as we do. He understands how important this game is. So I would very, very much doubt that we're going to play conservative against them this weekend. And ultimately, what have we got to lose? Fuck all. Apart from fucking more a dwindling fucking treasure trove of pride that seems to be, it's getting patched up, but it's still been a rough season. So he's gonna want us to go out there and ball, and he's gonna want us to potentially still be in that race, because let's face it, the Bucks haven't got an easy game this weekend, I don't think. So we could still be in there. I'm not going to be my normal optimistic self and say that we are in there, but I'm saying, I would be very, very surprised if Arthur Smith doesn't just fucking place his testicles on the wall and go, fuck it, let's go for it.
Was it game 2 of the preseason that they came out with Desmond and let him throw a 40-yarder first play, and it was a pick. It wasn't great, but they're not afraid of letting him go. And also, did you see Smith just down his fucking throat in the preseason? This guy would not waste his time if he didn't believe in him. And you might see that first drive be a little screen pass to Patterson or something like that, but within the first quarter, you're gonna see this kid sling it. I mean, that's what he's there to do. And if they played conservative, especially in New Orleans, yeah. I would rather see Ritter come out and air out 3 50-yarders and throw a pick than I would to see him throw 19 screen passes for 30 yards myself.
Yeah, I mean, I think from a perspective of the risk of obviously doing it is the Saints don't give many yards through the air, but I think I don't know if this is still the case, but I think the Saints had the least picks in the league last time I checked. They didn't have many, so
keep talking great.
They're not exactly goal ball. I've jinxed it now, but they're not. But they're not exactly flying to the ball and picking it off left, right, and centre. So
yeah,
maybe if we can open it up a little bit against them,
but it's execution, isn't it? That's what we want to see. We want to see things executed better. How many times this season have we sat here and said it was a really close game, but at that kind of defining moment in the game, and I've said it, and I'm not, and I don't have to say it anymore because he's not fucking going to be there. But how many times have I said fourth quarter, every fucking time when the game is on the line, he will find a way to lose, right? And he has done, right? And listen, that's the past now, and all I want to see is something that shows we're trying to rectify that issue. And we don't know what we're going to get. Do you know what it is? The kid could come in and he could have a stinker, but I'm willing to be there for it, is all I'm saying.
Regardless, Smith cannot be more cautious than he's been with Mariota. It's not possible. He's we've seen as the season's gone on, he's progressively lost so much faith in him that he ended up throwing
That's quite obvious 12
balls, 10 balls, 13 balls, and everything else has been played off. That won't happen. that's not the starting point now. He'll go back to all the ambitious plays that he was hoping to make originally, and then see from there, surely.
And Greg said it, right? You know, like Arthur's been on him, like pushing this kid. And he wouldn't have done that if he didn't believe that he had something. And I think, and also bye week or not, and I think this says a lot as well. You're going to put this kid in his first game during our biggest divisional rivalry. Now, regardless of anything, like that is such a display of confidence. Like that's not holy shit, I'm sick of Mariota. That is the kid can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, for me, that is also something.
So I gotta hop off, unfortunately, but I'm gonna leave with two
Thank
things.
you for joining us, Greg.
Leave with two things. One, if Jameis Winston stays off the field, we will be okay this weekend. That fucker turns into a Falcon killer every single time, and it's absolutely
I know, but Greg, so does fucking Taysom Hill.
There's that too. Two, Danny, leave your damn phone off this time around, okay? If you say anything.
I have not tweeted during a game for 3 weeks now, and look how that's fucking gone. So I'm not the only dude. Someone else.
I've never seen it go so downhill than when Danny starts talking shit about Michael Thomas and he turns around with 2 touchdowns.
I'll be honest, not only 2 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns in like a minute and a half of the game today. It's like a basketball level of scoring.
I'm contemplating changing the password at round about 5:55.
Boys, I will catch you guys next time, and please,
thanks, Greg.
I hope we're talking about a win next week.
It's been a pleasure, mate.
Guys. Thank you, mate. Cool. Right, I think we've done the QB subject to death.
Just a little. Just a little.
So, I like in other news this week, I don't think there's really been much, to be fair. I don't think, and I think we're relatively healthy going into, apart from, the obvious kind of.
Yeah, it does seem that way. It does seem that way. I've not got anything breaking that's usually comes out about the time that we end up doing shows just by chance. Nothing pressing. We just circle back to Mariota. Just in his defense, before we wrap that section up, I don't believe that he's called it himself. I think he's got a genuine injury. Obviously, he's had the baby and everything like that. And I think maybe Smith's wording was just not quite or he was a bit unaware of the situation at that given time when he sat and done that interview where he said he's left us or whatever it was.
Yeah, but I think, but see, the thing with it is, I think all that's read into because Arthur's not a media guy, right? We know that. Do you know what I mean? And he doesn't really need to justify it. Like he could have, and I see that interview, and to me, I was kind of like left us to go and have a baby, and fucking quite rightly so. Especially in a week where he's been benched. Yeah. So I don't think so. Like everything that we've heard about Marcus, like up until now, is regardless of on the field, he's always been a good leader. I think that's always been the noise out of a lot of players. So I mean, I'll be honest, I really don't go along with it. If he has, then again, cool. I know we've had he left State and Bayamento and never on the injury report. Oof.
I know it's all down to it's such a controversial topic, but in error, we can only deal with what we've got in front of us, can't we?
Well, listen, if it is the case, then listen, thanks for your service, mate. But it means we don't have to pay a second year. So I don't have an issue with not having to pay the second year. No. I'm sure there'll be another vet that'll be able to come in and sit behind Desmond next year. Because like I say, he's the starter now. So
that's it. It's done in it. So that's it.
We're very unlikely now to go and, as Greg said, sell the farm for another QB. So it's really all about Desmond's development now for at least the next 2 years. So
just a hypothetical that's not going to happen, but just in the off chance,
Okay.
Ridder gets injured. What's the game plan? Logan Woodside, Felipe Franks. What's
yeah.
I'm not. obviously, the chances are low.
Yeah.
But it's NFL. Anything can happen. Then what's the plan? Because you've got.
Well, I mean, listen. San Fran are rolling with what is it, Mr. What do they call the last pick in the draft, Mr.
Mr. Irrelevant, is it?
Mr. Irrelevant, that's it. Yeah. And listen, one of my good mates is a San Fran fan, and he said he's been impressed. I mean, I imagine he was at Iowa last year, wasn't he?
Yeah, he looks pretty good.
Yeah. So Tannehill is going to be the backup next year.
Yeah.
Just I'll put the comment up so I don't.
Yeah, just for context, not just you saying it. Yeah.
I mean, that's also terrifying, but never mind. It can't be much worse than what we've had. So,
I pretty much I was a shoo-in for Brock Purdy being good when I think was it 2 weeks prior when I was talking about backup QBs, and I think I mentioned the words Brock Purdy. He's not even a real person. And now it says that he's pretty good. So.
But I think what I'm saying is, like, if Ridder does get injured, I guess it's just next man up. I mean, obviously, if Ridder's got a bad injury, then that maybe changes, the playing field for next year.
Yeah.
But let's not tempt fate on that.
I think it's almost one of them where I think when obviously Garoppolo went down and stuff for the 49ers, and obviously they already had the starter out. That was obviously it's a bigger deal for them because they're a serious playoff contender. Genuinely like the top 4 teams who could win it. And they've got a big chance. I think if Ridder got injured, we'd be like, well, just bring anybody in because we're not anywhere.
Yeah. So I think it'll just be next man up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's probably good. I mean, I know, it sounds bad, but if Ridder went down, I think I'd quite enjoy 3 games of Felipe Franks.
It'd be exciting.
It would be wild.
That's exciting. The word, Danny.
That's the only word I'm using. No.
Okay.
Crazy.
Cool. So I think just before we close off for this week, ahead of a very exciting week, Liam, I know you wanted to maybe at this point in the season, especially because we're not sure if we're going to be in contention towards the end of the season for the NFC South, do a little bit of draft talk.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to sort of have a look at some mock drafts, and what I was really interested in is not so much the player as such, but obviously the positions we would be in put at. Just I wanted to see if a lot of them had gone away from. It was weird because we like halfway through the season, obviously when Mariota was playing, there was quite a few that had us looking at the quarterbacks. Weirdly, like in the last week or so, most of them don't have a looking at the quarterback anymore. Even though Ridder hasn't played a game, for some reason, it was like Ridder didn't exist, but he wasn't playing.
Well, I think it's a big statement for him to be named the starter, though, isn't it?
It is, but I mean, I find it weird that they think that we just draft him and never ever give him a chance, and it seems strange, but I guess people sometimes do that. Who was it? The Vikings? They drafted somebody in the third. I can't remember his name now. Somebody in the 3rd or 4th, and never gave him a chance, and then released him in this. So it does happen, but I always thought that he'd get a chance. Whether it was this season or next season, I did think he'd get a chance.
Yeah.
But predominantly, I think I looked at maybe 6 mocks.
Yeah.
And 5 of the 6 had us going with either an edge or a defensive tackle, and the other one had us on a linebacker.
Right.
So we're defense heavy on the mocks at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I think 3 of them had us going for Jared Verse from Florida State.
Right.
And then I think the other one I saw was Brian Breezy, who was from Clemson, who's a good player. I do quite like him. And then
is that the DT?
From Clemson, I think it's
Clemson.
Right. Yeah, I think so.
Brian Breezy is that his name?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty.
I can get along with that. I'm sold. Draft him, Arthur. Draft him.
And then the other one was Tyree Wilson, which I think I saw a couple, but I think I've seen a few also with him sort of going before our current projected pick. Obviously, it depends on where we sort of end up. But if I'm correct, we're definitely second fewest sacks in the league at the moment, and the least amount of quarterback pressures for the second season in a row. Mm-hmm. That's not good. I feel like it's got a little bit better in that area this year.
Yeah. And I think those stats don't necessarily show the true picture of how promising Ebiketis look.
No, I think we took a step forward compared to last season.
Yeah.
But again, we are statistics wise, we are down that bottom end again. I think we've obviously taken a few sort of edge rushers and tackles in recent drafts, but never on the premier pick. We've took them in the sort of middle rounds, haven't we? Is next year our sort of our? But then
again, Liam, the number one pick this year, that was Walker, wasn't it?
Yes.
And I think I seen something on Twitter earlier on. I don't know. I mean, don't quote me on this, but I'm sure I seen something on Twitter earlier on. They said actually for the number one pick, he's actually been very underwhelming. I think he's got about 3.5 sacks.
Yeah,
I know Hutchinson's been okay, but then again, I mean, the defense of Detroit isn't where the rock and roll kind of footballs came from this year. And Thibodeau went to the Giants. And again, I'm not like all those names from those edge rushers that were kind of, they went in the sort of top 6 in the draft last year. And I don't know, I just haven't really heard much about them. I might be wrong, but
yeah, from a sack perspective, I think Walker's that's not his game. Like, he's obviously, he in his last season with Georgia, he got several sacks, and everyone was sort of quoting that he's this guy who could do it all, sort of thing. This like Swiss Army knife. But he's never been a real edge rusher. He's an edge to edge sort of linebacker. Really, he's based on speed and tackling ability rather than pure sacks. But I don't think he's been electric at anything. But to be honest, have the Jags really been that good at anything this season? You kind of fit in with the team, don't you?
Well, no, and I suppose the those three kind of edge rushers that I just mentioned, who were, what everybody was talking about in the last draft, especially Aiden Hutchinson and Thibodeau. And I think
he was the same guy that obviously was. The idea was that I think he got 15, 16 sacks in his last college year. I think Walker got about 5. So you see the difference in the sort of style. But yeah, he was the guy who's supposed to come in and take over. But I don't know his numbers this year, Hutchinson. I think he's been okay. But from Lions fans, they actually said he's been very good. His pure sack numbers have not been that high, but in terms of his quarterback pressures and the way he's playing has been very good. Whether he's been, second overall good, I don't know, but he's been very promising supposedly. So
Kev just raised a good point in the chat as well, is that he hasn't got Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean with him.
No, he's not. And he's also, in terms of your outside linebackers rushing, quarterback rushing style, you've got Josh Allen, the other Josh Allen.
The other one.
on the other side, who is an outside linebacker with brilliant edge rushing ability, who's from that perspective is always going to outshine Walker because he is better in that area.
Yeah.
So I think you're always going to look worse than he is, but that's not a bad thing because Josh Allen's very good. But yeah, there's always a chance with edge rush that you can go out and get an absolute bust. Like we've had a certain individual in the last.
We won't talk about number 44.
that we took in the first round, and we know how that went. So, but I mean, what position? Every position, there's a chance you go out and get a bust, isn't there? You can take a pass.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's lottery, right?
But I'd love to see somebody go out and just get. Obviously Jarrett can get sacks and stuff, but he's coming from an interior position, which is just his pure leverage is what gets him.
He needs help.
You need somebody on the outside as another threat.
So desperate.
Imagine pushing. You've got Jarrett coming through the middle, which is automatically going to draw two men onto him every time. That pushes the quarterback to want to try and sort of move left and right. Having an edge rusher who's just coming around the outside every time, locking him in place. It'd be frightening for anyone. So if we could get that, our defense goes up. Our secondary, obviously, because we're going to have the quarterback's going to have less time to throw. Our secondary automatically gets better.
So that was just going to be my next point. Do we need to go out and get AJ some more help on the other side?
Yes. In what?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Do we do that in the draft or we do that in free agency?
I mean, we tried to do it in free agency this year, didn't we?
True.
With Casey Hayward, but he wasn't, bad. But he's I'm not going to say he's finished, but he's on the way out, isn't he?
Our budget was also £2.50, not 100 million. So our clientele is going to be a little bit different when we pick them up.
Definitely true. But yeah, we do. I think we've seen obviously Oliver's been okay, but I think Darren Hall. I'm not convinced on the Darren Hall. And the rest of the guys are obviously just doing their best, should we say? They're making some decent plays now and again, and some Howards now and again. So yeah, we probably do. We need to go and get back to it.
I think defense needs to be the priority. I mean, I know I was winding you up earlier on. Because I want Robinson, Bijan Robinson, the running back. And don't get me wrong, and I know I'm going to get pelters for it. But listen, like before the draft last year, none of us really were, up there screaming for a wide receiver. Some of us were, but most of us, nobody really seen that Drake London pick coming at that point in the draft. And ironically, it was the one that opened up the floodgates, right, for all the wide receivers to go. So you never know. And don't get me, and that's also not a slight on Algier. I think I'm just getting more and more aware that, CP's not going to be here forever. And I love the man, and I hope he is here forever. I want him to come and live in my house. Like, I love him. I love him so much. And that's why I've got his jersey. But I don't know. I just the more I watch Robinson, and like I say, I don't watch a lot of college football, but I do try and catch some highlights ahead of at least the first round, and he looks a monster. And if you had RB1 of him, wide receiver 1 of London, and tight end 1 of Pitts, well, I mean, it doesn't really matter who your quarterback is at that point, right?
Yeah. I would love to. It'd be great. I'd love to see him, but I think he's probably going to go in the back end of the first round, and I just don't afford to do it. If he was going to drop to the second round, then our second round pick, that'd tickle my balls a little bit. But I think other than that, I can't. There's teams that need a running back more than we do, isn't there? I think. We'll pull the trigger.
The way running backs are getting injured in my fantasy teams right now, I'm not going to. I'm going to be honest with you. They're dropping like fucking flies. So,
I was thinking the other day, there was like teams where I was just thinking I couldn't even think of who their running back was anymore. Like that's usually a position where you know who the running back is.
Yeah.
Like, who's the running back at the moment? Like, just due to injuries and just.
I think it also shows Smith's confidence in Algier that Williams just got booted straight away.
Yeah.
No, I know. And he was injured like game one, right? So Algier certainly stepped up, and that's promising. And again, I want to reiterate, I don't dislike Tyler Algier. I think he's had he's had an amazing rookie season. Where in a team where he's had to graft.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was really high on Damian Pierce last year, and I was right. So because he's balled out for the Texans, and I mean, I know, and I'm a Gators fan, and I really, really like how much of an angry runner he is, and I think yeah.
I mean, I do like how Gio. I think he's that angry runner that we've got. But I mean, you've got obviously David Pierce. Like what he went into the
fourth, I think. Third or fourth. I think, yeah.
But I mean, if you're gonna get like that, that's where if you're gonna get a player like Pierce in that round, then you've done really, really well. But I think some of them you have to go earlier than that, don't you? And
sure.
I just don't think we're gonna do it this year. I don't know who we're gonna. We don't know what. I mean, we don't know who. It's one of them. It's the lotteries. We don't know who's going to be there. We don't know when we're picking.
So we'll just do a quick run through the comments. So this is an interesting one. How do you guys see Ogundeji in the Falcons defense, starter or quality backup? Backup, yeah. I mean, I think given our situation going into next season, I think we can afford to have better. But also we're still going to have quality backups. So I mean, I certainly wouldn't be against seeing them stay on a team friendly deal. So yeah, I mean, I think quality backups probably realistically where we should be aiming for. I think if he's starting next season, then I'd be worried about the quality.
I don't know how much he's done this season.
I think it's one of those things, isn't it? It's kind of he's not done anything. He hasn't been Jalen Mayfield, So that's
true.
That's good, And listen, I am still praying that boy comes out next season and shows us something, But then again, I'm a romantic. I did this with Marlon Davidson. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not gonna get fucking drawn into this again. I'm not.
Sick of it.
Yeah, I think he's been better than Jalen Mayfield, which is nice. Any more comments? So Mad Mike said it's gonna be a close game, 24-21. Run game and defense leads into victory. Mad Mike, your name comes true with how you've said that the defense is going to lead us to victory. I'm not sure. And Kev said I have a lot more confidence in Fontenot getting it right on defense personally. Trench defense in draft and secondary in free agency.
Yeah, I could see that.
I do think, however, that we are going to have to get a bit. Like I know. Obviously, we've got Grady there in the trenches, and same on the offensive trenches as well. I kind of feel like we should probably have some more experience in there, though. Like I like how they're drafting, but yeah, I think we've shown this year at times that we can be a little bit naive because there is definitely that lack of experience.
Yeah, I would say I agree. I think we are lacking that in quite a number of areas just to get somebody, somebody who's just been through it all. They're not going to be fantastic, but somebody who's just done it is still very solid players. They can just lift a team, and just obviously just even just on the practice field, not even on the actual field, just learning from them. That type of player is always valuable to have. And I think sometimes you pay a little bit more for players who are a little bit older and you think like, wow, we're paying so much for somebody, but they bring more than just the performance on the field.
100%.
Definitely.
Okay, so predictions from yourselves, boys.
Ooh. God.
I'll take this one because I've been sat on this one for weeks now. 28-14 Falcons all day.
Woo!
However, I even had that prediction in mind when Mariota was going to be QB. So
Let me note this down because that is a big old.
It's a,
Right,
yeah,
so
we're not
Danny.
we're not squeezing the winning. 28-14.
28-14. I like it. Although I'm not gonna lie, I will get nervous when we hit 28 points.
I absolutely will. Maybe it's destiny.
Liam, what are you saying?
I'm going to go 21-14 to Falcons.
Okay.
I think it'll be fairly low scoring. And I think, like, the key again is keeping Kamara quiet. That's going to be the key for us again.
Yeah, always.
Which teams have managed to do in the last. He's not been very good in the last 2 weeks, as my fantasy team shows. So hopefully we can carry on that trend.
Don't say that.
So I'm gonna go 34-20.
Fucking hell. Okay.
I'm gonna back the boy to become a man, the boy who looks like a man to become a man. And I'm gonna say Desmond gets at least 3 passing touchdowns this weekend. I'm all in again, boys. I'm all in.
That way.
Yeah. I mean, I'd take it because, like, I mean, you know, that would end all of those jokes from that side, from that side of the border. Go some way to ending them, but I think I've got my optimistic hat back on, so fuck it. I'm gonna say we beat them by at least 2 scores.
Love to hear it.
You can always rely on me for blind optimism, boys. Don't you worry about that.
Sorry for.
Cool. Any other business that we want to chat about?
I'm golden, boys. I'm golden. Unless anyone.
I'm just looking. I'm looking forward to it. I always look forward to this game. Look forward to it even more with our new guy. Them having Andy Dalton's always a pleasure to watch. As long as it's not us.
So on that note, it didn't come home.
It didn't come home.
But we're about to go down to New Orleans and we're going to absolutely fucking embarrass these bastards this weekend. I can fucking feel it.
It's not quite a World Cup, but I'll take it.
No, it isn't. But it's and listen, you know, for all we know, this could be the kickstart into something beautiful. So let's hope it is. Okay. Well, we will be back next week for a pre-Christmas, post-hate week, happy, jubilant show, hopefully, with loads of great things to talk about, especially Desmond Ridder destroying the New Orleans Saints. But if there is, we've got no more to chat about, so we will leave it there for this week. So thank you all very much for tuning in. Thank you for getting involved in the comments and
subscribe, follow.
Do all of those things. We're on Apple Music now, or wherever you get your podcasts from. We're on all of that. Listen to us in the car, listen to us in the bath, listen to us wherever you are. And we will be back next week, hopefully with some good news. So catch you later, guys. Thank you very much.